What's a scientific fact that creeps you out? Honestly, nothing is creepier than how deep-sea anglerfish mate. The deep sea is dark, and the anglerfish are spread very thinly. Therefore, when an anglerfish meets another anglerfish, it's incredibly important they get the chance to mate over and over again. The evolutionary strategy that deep-sea anglerfish devised is extra creepy. The male latches onto the female, biting her and never letting go. That way he can inseminate the egg she drops. Not that bad so far, right? But wait, how does he eat if he's latched on his mate? Well, the circulatory system's fuse and the female provides nutrients for the male through this fused circulatory system. The true horror starts here. The organs of male start to wither and atrophy, being absorbed into the female. Eventually, the male is reduced to a lump of testicles the females use to fertilize their eggs. Females are often covered in bumps of several males that have melted into the female, becoming a literal body horror lump of meat on the female. Maybe it's good H.P. Lovecraft didn't survive to the days of the internet. He would have had a field day with this one. Fun fact, H.P. Lovecraft was absolutely terrified of everything. Fears include weird geometry, people of color, except Mexican people because he thought they had magic Aztec powers, interracial marriage, poor people, indigenous cultures, and the standard cosmic stuff we all know him for today. Overly Sarcastic Productions has a pretty interesting and funny video on him that I'd definitely recommend. In some species of animals, multiple offspring are born but only one is actually raised by the mother. The others are born only as backup in case the firstborn doesn't survive. When the firstborn is fine, which is the typical case, it kills the others. Web link. I remember witnessing a mantis egg case hatching in my high school science class. I asked the teacher, what could possibly be small enough for them to eat? And he was just casually like, they'll eat each other. I have similar feelings about intrauterine cannibalism. A fever is your body way of saying, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We either destroy the enemy or we die with them. COVID, hey, time to tell the lungs to kill themselves. Immune system, F you. I will beat you in the lungs because I'm that angry. Immune system, haha, at 42 degrees Celsius the bacteria will die brain, but we will die to FFS. Welp, got to take the bad with the good. Caterpillars turn completely into goo in their cocoon, and then become a butterfly. Edit, this blew up. According to my inbox, many people have been creeped out. A good day's work. And there is evidence they retain memories from their pre-goo days. Memories of strong positive/negative stimuli that they show preference for/aversion to, even after metamorphosis. Pre-goo days. I love it. We use the expression to become a butterfly about people who have emerged from tough or dark times. So it should only be natural to talk about their past as pre-goo days. I'm not a caterpillarologist, but I've read somewhere that their neural network stays at least partially intact. Lepidopterist. And they break down to the cellular level. Even then, the synapses can survive for the most part with neurons sort of free-floating. Reminds me of the stories about those people with uncaught hydrocephalus who lead perfectly normal lives despite their brains basically getting squashed into about 10% of the normal volume. Reminds you of the what? Hydrocephalus. Symptoms include shouting what loudly and without warning. Popular rapper DMX famously suffered from this. Although I agree, I read that what in Lil Jon's voice followed by a yeah thanks, Chappelle, smiley face. I don't like this. Just imagine a cartoon cocoon with a caterpillar inside melting like ice cream, but still has the googly eyes, and it's kind of cute and funny. So the eyes just float in the goo? You've made it worse. Your brain is making decisions before you are even aware of the decisions it has made. It also makes decisions based off of learned behavior and you just go along with it. A study actually showed your limbs, fingers, toes, etc., react to stimuli before your brain sends the response to do so. That's just human reflex arcs. Because of some pesticides used, Roaches won't go anywhere near a meth lab. Edit, didn't expect this much after reading some RPF. For those you are asking, meth labs have been known to produce toxic gas, like phosphine, which is a common insecticide. Phosphine is often used in silos to deal with vermin. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact we don't have to deal with swarms of cranked up cockroaches. Well, thank you for the nightmares. FBI. Open up. Your home is roach-free. That as the permafrost melts, a lot of locked up methane will be released, and microorganisms there will wake up and do their jobs, breaking down organic matter, and release more methane and greenhouse gases. And possible ancient diseases. COVID-22 BC. This time, it's biblical. The brain can play tricks on you. When you look at a clock and the second hand seems to freeze for a moment, your brain is actually generating a false memory, and your perception of time stretches slightly backward. This effect is called chronostasis. Web link. Wait, what? Pay attention to the second hand of a clock, blink, and see how long it stays there. I only saw it stay there for a second. Not blinking, it's when you look really quickly. But wait, there's more. When you move your eyes rapidly, you don't see the things in front of you streaking across your field of view. What happens is that your brain just deletes that part. To fill in this gap in your perception, you would think the brain would stretch out that last image you saw before you moved your eyes, like a stuck video, but instead your brain takes the first thing you see after your eyes move, and does a copy and paste back over the blank couple of tenths of a second while your eye was moving. This fools your brain into thinking it sees the new view even before your eyes move to where you could see it. Why would your brain do this? Imagine you see a small, quick animal out of the corner of your eyes. As you snap your eyes over to look at it, the animal jumps out of sight in like a 20th of a second, too fast to be perceived, normally. However, as far as your fooled brain is concerned, it looks like the animal froze in place for a few tenths of a second, which gives the mind part of your brain a better chance to register and understand that fleeting image. Edit, since people seem to be interested in this, here's more. Move your eyes back and forth as fast as you can. You should be able to perceive the streaking motion that is normally edited out. Also, you may notice that doing this is not very pleasant after a while. My sympathies to those posting below who have problems with this for medical reasons. Also, despite the title of this post, you may have already guessed that I think this kind of stuff is really cool to think about, and it doesn't creep me out at all. So you're saying it's a feature, not a bug? Haha, perception is dope. There's a whole spectrum of ways reality is experienced simultaneously, which I find really interesting. That's happened to me so many times. I didn't know this was common. I just figured maybe my brain experiences mini strokes every once in a while. A gamma-ray burst could wipe out all life on Earth instantly with no warning. A effing what? An ultra-powerful supernova that sends incredibly powerful blasts of gamma rays across the galaxy at light speed. If one hits Earth, everything is erased instantly. There is virtually no way to ever see one coming. So we would never even know it happened before we were all killed. But we have a reasonable amount of data of all the nearby objects that would even be capable of producing one, and none of them are oriented in a way that would shoot one towards us anytime soon. Aren't there solar flares that could destroy all electronics and appliances? Living through the one-day Texas snowstorm, I don't know how I'll survive if something like that happens. You could be thinking of solar storms from our own sun, which are very capable of causing disruption to our electrical systems. We are more than capable of protecting our infrastructure from such events, but investment in such efforts have been uneven for reasons. Web link. The sudden urge to jump off of a very high height. You can be physically and mentally stable to the greatest degree and still have this feeling when at such a high height. I heard it's the call of the void, and it's a normal human thought. The best example is when you're driving along and think, for a fraction of a second, about swerving into oncoming traffic or into a tree. Is it the same as when I'm in the middle of listening to a presentation and wonder what would happen if I got up and ran for the podium, screaming? That's actually called an intrusive thought. It might be a similar or related concept. But essentially, intrusive thoughts are thoughts of things you would never do nor never normally think about. They for some reason get stuck in your head and can be insanely dark or disturbing. They don't reflect your personality, however. I get intrusive thoughts a lot, though one time I read that it is believed they exist as a sort of regulation or check in our brains. So you have this messed up thought, but your conscious rejection of the thought is your mind reaffirming your sanity and decision-making ability. I don't know the validity of that, but since I heard that, my intrusive thoughts don't trouble me nearly as much anymore. Thank you for sharing this. I also deal with disturbing intrusive thoughts and this helped. I get a lot of intrusive thoughts as well. I think the biggest thing that has helped is understanding they're completely normal and nearly everyone has them. There's nothing wrong with you for imagining something that's absolutely bonkers. And then the next thing is accepting your intrusive thoughts and letting them go instead of ignoring them or running away from them. It's important to try to process them completely. I've noticed that after thinking something like, okay, I don't actually want that. I'm not going to do that. It's not happening. It's just a thought, even if it's something scary or even graphic. That the brain just kind of goes like, yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? And moves on. It's like getting a song stuck in your head. Usually playing the whole song all the way through fixes it and helps your brain close that chapter. Thinking about how breathing and lungs work freaks me out. Once I start thinking about it, all I can think about is my breathing, and then I have to force myself to stop thinking about it. Thinking about it always switches my breathing to manual rather than automatic. Critical error. Manual blinking activated. That so many vegetables came from the same plant. Broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, etc. They are, botanically speaking, the same species. Humans have just bred them to emphasize different traits: buds, leaves, tubers. Imagine if humans were as genetically flexible. Imagine a person walking around with giant toes, but otherwise normal. Actually, plant genetics in general is a weird world. I mean, if we spent generations selectively breeding ourselves based on traits like giant toes, something like that could happen. Just look at dogs. The canine family is actually unusual in that respect. The entire canine family has slippery genes. I don't understand it. I'm not a geneticist, just read about it, and is much more variable in their phenotypes than other families of mammals. Look at other animals that have been domesticated for thousands of years: cats, horses, sheep and goats, cattle. The breeds vary in their appearances, but nowhere near as much as different breeds of dogs do. A Shetland pony and a Percheron draft horse resemble each other much more than do a pug and a greyhound. Ditto a Siamese cat versus an American Shorthair, or a Nubian goat versus a Boer goat. Yes. I saw a special on National Geographic about this once. Back when it used to have high-end programming. It was fascinating. You get and cure cancer in your own body thousands of times a day. Excuse me, what? Your body produces thousands and thousands of cells with damaged DNA. It's a bit of exaggeration to call them cancer, but if any of these cells were to survive, they could become cancerous. Your immune system destroys them before they get to that point. This is also why if you were to live forever you would eventually get cancer, because the chances of your body missing them statistically increases. This occurs thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times a day. Whoa, this is interesting and mad. It's pretty cool. It's one of the reasons why the older we get the higher the cancer risk, and why it would be nearly impossible to ever hit 150 years old. Cancer always wins. Also, the cells that take care of this begin to die off. Elephants and sharks have huge numbers, and it's why they rarely get cancer. Makes sense. I am researching this more. As soon as I post about most people having mites on their face and in their pillows. We are literally infested. Spider webs were used as bandages in ancient times. Edit. Wow, guys, didn't expect so many replies. I didn't think my creepy scientific fact would get so much attention. Thanks for all the upvotes and comments. Have a good day, guys. My grandpa was from rural Eastern Europe, and he told me about his grandma and mom using spider webs on wounds. It's not even that ancient of a thing. Parasites can live anywhere inside of you, for years unnoticed. A simple migraine could be a tapeworm crawling in your brain, causing damage. Your eyes begin to blur frequently and you don't know why, and it's not getting better. Losing weight and having diarrhea, but it's not a stomach bug. Well, I guess it is. You are having a difficult time catching your breath and your chest doesn't feel right. It could just be some parasite hanging out, using you. Top 5 ways to intensify anxiety. Number 1, this post. This post covers all from no 1 to 5. 80% of the cases are asymptomatic, and to get infected by brain tapeworm you need to eat feces. Neurocysticercosis, its name, is one of the easier diseases to avoid. Edit undercooked pork too. Undercooked pork sounds even worse now. Second edit to prevent it is easy though, wash your hands, follow hygiene etc. Basically don't be a dummy. And worms are generally killed by a dose or 2 of albendazole, web link. I feel unsafe within my own skin now, thank you. You mother effer. A buddy of mine is a pilot for a major airline, in top 3 of airlines. I asked him exactly how much flying are you actually doing during a flight? Like how much are you controlling the plane? He said about 5%, 95% of a flight is completely automated. He said he's involved a little bit on takeoff and on the landing, but for the most part the plane flies itself unless something major happens in flight. This doesn't bother me, though. Realizing machinery fails, and that is terrifying no matter what vehicle you're in, I feel better that a human is there to mitigate rather than operate this type of machinery on their own. What a task that is. Edit, aren't most plane fails due to human error? And that pilot that let his kid fly the plane, who ultimately caused it to crash, was he kidding me with this? Lol. Not that it's funny, I'm pretty pissed about it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.